So, William, I need you to tell me something.
What is it, baby doll?
What does it feel like to be YouTube famous?
Well, I put my pants on just the same as everybody else, one leg at a time, but then I wake up and I piss excellence.
Oof.
So it feels pretty good.
Oof. If you don't know what we're talking about, for our regular viewers, we recently uploaded a video from the Red Bull event. It went a little viral, currently at 35,000 views. It's blowing up and bringing some much needed traction to the channel. So if you're coming from that video, if you've subscribed recently, we're almost at 100 subscribers. Welcome.
Yeah, welcome and thank you, 'cause we're just two idiots who don't really know a goddamn thing about Formula One, but
Not at all.
we'll fake it till we make it, brother.
Absolutely. And definitely stay tuned because we're going to be going to the Austin race next weekend. So we're going to be doing very similar videos to what we did this past week. And so definitely stay tuned. Today's topic, I think we're looking at talking about the F1 2022 race calendar. There's been a lot of drama surrounding this. It's going to be the first calendar with 23 races, which is the all-time high. And you've got prominent figures like Sebastian Vettel saying too many races could stop F1 from being quote unquote special. Your thoughts, William?
Well, when there's too many cooks in the kitchen, nothing gets done, right? But I mean, honestly, all the fans want more races. I don't really see where he's coming from. I get that traveling is a huge issue, and the way they've set up the calendar, they released it a few days ago on the F1 website if you want to take a look at it. But the way they've scheduled these is absolutely ridiculous. They've got them flying continent to continent every few weeks. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense from a standpoint of like if you want to be more conscious about fuel consumption and your impact on the environment, you really wouldn't, fly all these countries because they're like, well, we need the V6 to save fuel to be more conscious of the environment. It's like you fly these cars out, you fly all these people, all these teams out, you use so much jet fuel. Who gives a shit what they do in 70 laps?
Yeah. Yeah. And part of the calendar has some ridiculous examples. Like at 1 week, they're going to Australia. The weekend after, they're going to, or 2 weeks after, they're going to Italy. Then after that, they're coming to Miami. So they're just, I don't know, the logistics of this doesn't really make too much sense. So I get what too many races, might be an issue. They're trying to squeeze in and kind of stick to this regular calendar, but yeah, if they're trying to be green and they're trying to promote all of this earth friendly stuff, this is just not the way to do it.
Yeah, the FIA recently gave out an award to Williams for a three-star environmental accreditation. I don't know if that's just because they're not using a lot of fuel or they're using less resources, but the FIA as a whole is just, it's a joke. Like, I don't give a shit how many awards you give out, how many pats on the back you give to everybody. They're literally just jerking themselves off. I don't know if I can say that, but they're
It
literally like talking about how good of an environmental impact they're having or how better they are when their schedule is set up to where they could just stay in Europe for a few months, then go to the Middle East for a month, then go to America for a month.
do you think Williams got that award because they don't really finish the last couple of laps anyways because they're so lapped?
Yeah, they're saving fuel. I don't know what it is. I think it's how they're setting up their car. Like they're not using as many like pieces of carbon,
The
stuff like
facilities
that.
maybe as well.
They're trying to go net zero carbon, but that's just for the races and the race cars. To
Yeah.
travel with these vehicles is still an insane amount of fuel, an insane amount of resources, and
So
they're just making it more complicated.
So I saw Coda has been pretty active this week because the F1 race is coming up, and they were uploading these pictures of all the teams their gear getting there, and they're getting there on these like giant Airbuses, and they've got these giant crates of just like things, whether it's like their bases that they need to set up or engine parts, and so I was looking at that and I was like, man, this is insane to move around 10 teams like this every other weekend. The amount of carbon impact from that is just it's absolutely insane.
Well, and think about it like this: it's not just F1. F2, F3, and Formula Women, like they all do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So this is four different races under the FIA just formula races that ship these cars across the country, ship the teams and everything they need and all their setups every other week. And they're complaining about too many races. I'm fine. Add more races. Just keep it all in one continent for a few months.
What do you think of the races that they have this season? Have you gotten the chance to look at the calendar
For 2022,
for 2022? Yeah.
I mean, I like them. I mean, obviously, it's not a terrible setup. From Saudi Arabia, I like the Australia GP. Like, all of this is subject to change because of COVID. There could be another wave. I mean, people ain't getting their vaccine. People don't want to get it. I think the people who have already gotten it are nobody's just going to magically wake up and say, oh, I want one. So there could be more outbreaks.
Hmm.
And Australia could go back into lockdown again, which would push Australia off of it. They got
Yeah.
Hungary back up, though, which is going to be cool.
Yeah, COVID is really impacting the calendar, but since they want to do 23, I wonder if just like they did this season, a couple of countries were like, nope, we don't want to have the GP here, and another country stepped in. So I think they're going to stick to the 23 calendar regardless of if other countries cancel. Like, I have a feeling Canada might cancel again. I have a feeling Japan might cancel again. And if that's going to be the case, they're definitely going to kind of try to do some double headers, maybe hopefully in some cool tracks like Baku or doing two in Russia. I don't know, just doing something crazy like that I think would make the most sense if they want to stick to 23 races.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool racetracks that are on the back burner every year, and this year and last year definitely highlighted a lot of those cool tracks that aren't normally driven.
Yeah, not in the rotation too
Yeah,
often.
and I mean, I'm excited. I love more races. I've been wanting more races. I get that it's hard on the race drivers. It's hard on the teams. But come on, man, you're getting paid millions of dollars to do this. There's plenty of
Yeah.
professional athletes that travel all over the world all the time.
Yes, so what about your mental health? We want entertainment.
It's like, yeah, if you want to be happy, retire.
um, so we've talked about how fans, I think no fan would disagree with the fact that they want more races. Now, one thing that I think F1 could improve is the approach that they take to scheduling these races. And I understand these are different continents and, all of them have different temperature all of the time. What would you think is a good approach to coming up with something that makes a little more sense, maybe? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, either do all the Middle Eastern tracks early in the year or late in the year. During the middle, you know, April, May, June, you can keep it all in Europe, maybe the southern part of Europe to where it doesn't get too hot just yet. I mean, even then, you can run a hot race. It's no big deal. It's been
Mm-hmm.
relatively cool races thus far. And then USA can stay in the same spot. You can bump Miami down to USA or Austin, Miami, and Mexico back to back to back.
Canada
And
as well, throwing it
yeah,
in there as
Canada as
well.
well. You can toss them all in there. And then, of course, there's the South Pacific and Asian ones. Japan, Singapore.
South America too has a huge presence with F1, and I think they could do those right after, right before North American races.
Well, they have a couple of them, like from July 10th to September 11th. They're staying in Central Europe, which is nice. That makes sense. It's basically up and down. And then when they go to Austin, it goes Austin, Mexico, Brazil, which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you're sending everybody back to Europe and then sending them back to South America.
Yeah, after Brazil, they go to Abu Dhabi. Why not? Why not group that one up at the beginning with Bahrain, Saudi Arabia?
I don't know. Abu Dhabi always gets the last slot.
Yeah.
Don't Was that the one that got the 10-year contract?
It's one that hasn't been too popular with everyone. A lot of people say the track's not very good. It's the worst season closer of the race. But yeah, I'm not too sure on the history of that one.
From what I know about the Middle Eastern tracks is that they're really cool for like the motorcycle races, but for Formula 1, they're flat. They can get a little narrow. They don't have a whole lot of up and down. They're a decent layout, but it's nothing special.
Mm.
It's nothing like some of the classic tracks like Monaco or hell, even, Zandvoort, like just very interesting tracks with a whole lot of movement around and a whole lot of up and down and side to side. Those Middle Eastern tracks are just flat. They're just flat race tracks with turns, and there's nothing special. And
Would you?
also, the the sand. If
Would,
it's a windy day, there's going to be sand all over the track.
would you argue though that, because they aren't in these super iconic locations, such as Monaco, where they're kind of in a cityscape, do you think that the advantage that these Middle Eastern tracks have is that they're specifically designed for race cars? It's a race track. It's been designed purely around F1 or at least motorsport. Whereas the Monaco one, they kind of just found, streets that were available and made sense. Do you think those that are the classic racing tracks, do you think these new tracks that are specifically designed for motorsport, do you think that'll eventually give them an upper hand and create these scenarios where there's really interesting racing?
No, because the classic tracks have the thing of like Monaco, for example. You say, oh, they just set one up in the streets. It's like it's a beautiful, beautiful racetrack on the side of the ocean. Very unique and dynamic environments that you go into every single time. Really cool, different objects on the racetrack that you get to see every time, and it's iconic. With with the Middle Eastern ones, it's like, yeah, it was set up for a racetrack. They're all set up for racetracks. But there's just nothing special. There's nothing that's like,
Mm.
oh my God, that was so cool. I can't wait to watch this again.
Singapore is one that comes to mind that's really special because it was a Grand Prix designed racetrack, but it's in the nighttime. It has all of those lights. It looks super beautiful at night. I think it creates for a really cool track.
I'm excited for the Miami Street Track. I don't know how they're going to set it up, and but they raced in Miami this year with what the hell is that thing called? IndyCar. They raced IndyCar in Miami, and all the IndyCar drivers hated it. The track was super bumpy. The road was not that good. The turns went from super wide to crazy tight. So if you didn't get it right, or you slid or locked up, you were into the wall.
Mm.
There was no runoff because it was a street track, and
Yeah.
I mean there was a lot of crashes, a lot of red flags. So I'm interested in seeing how it's going to be worked out because IndyCar was kind of the test subject.
Yeah. Do you have high hopes for the 2022 season? Having so many races going across so many different countries. Do you think that I'll end it there. You can answer now.
Yes, I do think that. Yes, I
Okay.
do.
Yeah, I've got high hopes for the 22 season as well. I think it'll be a bit harder on the teams, unfortunately. But with Liberty Media taking over and them and the FIA wanting more racing, then this is just going to be the new normal, unfortunately, for them. And hopefully it doesn't result in just high burnout from the workers, leading to kind of unsafe conditions. So I just hope that that's going to be the case, and I hope that if that does turn out to be the case for next year, that they listen to the racing teams and kind of figure something out. Maybe it's doing maybe improving the logistics on the races a little bit, even if it's just something like that.
Oh yeah. No, I have high hopes. I'm excited. Everything's still up in the air, which just with the way the world's been right now, it's hard to tell what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's
Um,
hard. It's hard to plan for next year.
yeah.
And
All I can oh, go ahead, buddy. Go ahead, buddy. Go hey, go
did,
go for it, buddy.
did you know that when F1 started back in 1950, there was only 7 races in 7 countries, and it's progressively, it's taken what 70 years to double that essentially, or
That makes
triple that, I
sense.
guess.
I mean, these, they're performance cars. Like, they're not built to drive for hundreds of thousand miles. They last 3 to 4 races, and everything needs to be changed out. So it's like you add more complications, basically, the more races you add.
Hmm.
But with the 2022 setup, I don't know if they're going to dial the engines back. I don't think they're going to do that for 2022, but if they're going to add more races, they have to make the engines last longer. It's plain and simple.
Yeah.
Unless they start allowing 5 to 6 engine swaps, which pretty much defeats the purpose of trying to go green.
Yeah.
Just throwing out an engine every, month?
Yeah.
It'd be a little ridiculous.
Well, hopefully they can figure it out. I think we're curious to hear what you guys think. What do y'all think about the F1 2022 calendar? Are there too many races? Do you need more? Does does the logistics of it make sense? Let us know in the comments below your thoughts on the F1 22 calendar.